self-awareness is so important. Being self-aware, people trick themselves into thinking they can do everything. And deep down you can't. You can't properly serve both communities or both businesses or whatever at one time.
And this means freedom, self-awareness, expression. And this to me means you can be more than one thing. I'm Jasmine Bowdry, and you're listening to And This Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of And This. And y'all, today I am here with a very, very special guest, my friend, marketing genius, 7-figure e-commerce brand owner, founding a upcoming Christian apparel brand. Like, he's just all the things. So I am excited to talk to him today. We're going to talk about getting back to grassroots in your marketing. We're going to talk about influencer strategies. We're going to talk about making pivots and shifts in your business. And how do you even know, like, when it's time to do that? How do you navigate that? So I am excited to welcome Corey Arvinger to And This.
What's going on?
Hey, Corey.
How are you?
I'm good. Hey, friend.
This is dope. I love the setup. It's looking good. Real vibes in here.
Look at me. Vibes are always good. We love a good vibe.
For sure.
I'm just going to jump right into it, Corey.
Let's do it. Let's get to it. What the people want to know?
The people want to know, Corey, is support Black colleges dead?
Listen, well, one, you can't never cancel the culture. It can't be dead. You can't kill that.
Period.
But I think for me, there was so much demand from us that I want to make sure that we can meet the demand that people want. So it's like, we talk about this, like choosing your heart in the beginning or the end. Mm-hmm. I would rather choose my heart in the beginning where we don't make money and we're like slowing down versus like getting too many orders and then like not being able to fulfill and dealing with that.
Which is super smart because so many product-based businesses like are so focused on, I want to get the orders. Like, because I want the money, right? But then they can't fulfill on the orders. And then you're dealing with customer service issues.
100%.
You're just dealing with fulfillment issues. And next thing you know, it's been months and you like, bruh, it was a t-shirt.
100%. And people don't understand that. Like, people complain that we're not putting out as much stuff or that we don't have inventory for anything. Yep. But then you'll also complain on the back end. And when you complain on the back end, that's more staff I have to have. It's so many things that add up. And so me and my warehouse manager are being super intentional on how we are structuring this next phase of support Black colleges because we don't ever want to backtrack again. Okay. And so
it's not dead. It's on a pause.
Yeah, it's not dead.
It's on a pivot.
Yeah, it's on a pivot. Like, I just didn't make a formal announcement because I'm still putting out content every single day on our page. We're posting 3 times a day, every single day. So the culture and the community is still alive. It's just that the product is not coming with the community as much. And so I always tell people we're a media company first that just sells clothes. Like, we do media. We put out so much content. Like, we're a media company that clothes is just the way we make the money through the media. But
so with that, with you being a media company that just sells clothes, right? How are you as a product-based business making money though?
So that's the great thing about being being an entrepreneur with like ability to do other things.
Multi-layered.
Yeah, like support Black colleges is just one source of income for me. So if that source of income goes away, I'm still okay. So I do marketing. I have people that are my clients. I'm an influencer, so I get paid to post and to travel and do these things. And so it's just one part of what I do. And I can still funnel money towards that so that it can run and be set up the way it's supposed to be set up while also making money here so my bills can be paid and I can do other things in life. So it doesn't affect me, but see the entrepreneur who it may be their only thing, their only source of income, and they're starting. Well, they're like, man, I need to get this. That's why they're putting out stuff when it's not ready because they need the bread now, which I get it because you got to spend money to make money. And so, I'm glad that I'm able to do other things.
So with that being said, though, Corey, do you feel that it is important in this day and age for entrepreneurs to be multidimensional, multi-passionate, multifaceted? Because that's what And This is all about. And I think sometimes gurus say you just need to focus on one thing. You don't need to focus on one thing. But if you're an entrepreneur, all of your eggs are in this one basket, 100%. Right? When it dries up or when there are slow seasons, then what's actually fueling the business? So what's your thoughts on that?
I think we've always have been supposed to be multidimensional. I just think that people try to box you in one place based off what you do. So it's like, yeah, I could be a stylist, but I could also make and sell clothes, but I could also consult somebody on this, and I could also do this. And so for me as a CEO of Support Black Colleges, I was always a marketer. That's what I did. That's what I went to school for, marketing, PR, right? And so I was a marketer first, and then I just put clothes with the marketing. That's how it got to where it is.
Talk a little bit about that though, real quick. Like, do people know that? Like, who? Because you used to market for like big companies. Like, this ain't no little dog.
Listen,
big dog.
I always have been a marketer at heart, and it's so crazy. If you look at a lot of people who are in the marketing space that do really well, a lot of them are party promoters, club promoters. And the reason why we do so well is you're promoting the same party at the same venues every week with different themes, different ways to get you 2 for this, 2 for 20, or red, white, and blue, or whatever it is. And so I began getting really good at marketing to my same audience, understanding their voice, what they want, their needs, listening, and then adjusting my marketing strategy for the next week. So coming out of college, I was actually working at AT&T as like a sales rep, like a regular, you need to get your phone fixed, upgrade. And I was trying to move up in the marketing department. I wanted to be somebody who was on their like marketing team. And they gave me all these parameters that basically I was never going to do it. You had to be a manager in this. And so I ended up quitting that job. The next job I had was with a guy named Sean Parker. If you ever seen the movie The Social Network, Justin Timberlake played his character. He created Napster. So I was working for him. I was living in New York, and Napster, when we used to illegally download music. I was working for him doing his college marketing. So he had an app called Airtime where he was it was basically like Airtime during COVID would have been fire, but it was before its time. It basically was an app that you can get in with 10, 20, 30 friends, watch YouTube, TikTok, all those videos together, comment, and like it was like a group chat, but like you could like watch videos. It was really cool. So I was doing that, and then I ended up getting an offer at Tyler Perry, and then I came out to Atlanta and was working for Tyler Perry. So marketing has been my thing. I just had a product of my own to market now.
So Support Black Colleges is a clothing line, but it's also a media company.
Correct.
So how did you kind of intertwine both of those completely different worlds? And at what point in the journey did you realize like this is more
100%.
Than a clothing brand? This is culture. This is news. This is media. This is us.
Right. You know what's crazy? I always tell people I didn't create HBCUs. I didn't discover them. Right. I just served the audience that was being underrepresented. And I realized that because when I would see somebody in the airport with my hoodie on and they didn't know I was the owner, I'd be like, oh, where'd you get that hoodie from? Oh, this company called Support Black Colleges. And they'll start doing all of this, like telling me about my brand. And I'm like, oh, they really champion it like it's theirs. And I realized that it was more than about just wearing a hoodie. It's like, I'm like, what school did you go? Now it's conversations. What HBCU you go to? So now we just like, not arguing, but having fun banter. Like, oh, you went to A&T? I'm like, ew. Like, I went to Howard. Oh, y'all. And it's like a whole thing. Now we dapping up, and I'm going to see you, in Vegas, wherever we're going, And so I realized that it was more than just about the clothes. And the difference between some brands and others is what your community looks like. Because anybody can have a clothing brand, but like, how are you impacting people? How does it feel when you put it on? Like the greatest compliment to me is when somebody talks about my brand like it's theirs. That is like the greatest compliment because it feels like I'm really doing something. Like I remember like heat pressing and sewing it, and I shipped it, but I never saw where it went. You got it, and now you're posting it, and you like, oh I'm repping my HBCU. So I realized there was another play there. And then also I remember my first time a company reached out to promote with our page. They're like, oh, we want to promote this event on Support Black Colleges. And they were offering thousands of dollars. And I'm like, wait, I got to sell 200 hoodies to get this money. But you just say, oh, send an email out or post on a page and we get this. I realized that there was a bigger play there. So not only are we building the community, but we can utilize the community to help other people build their events and whatever they want to promote.
I love that. And like one of the things you said was people would come up to you, like you ask somebody in the airport, like, oh, where you get that? And they would know that you were the founder. So what are your thoughts on entrepreneurs being the actual face of their brand? Like, do you think that it's a must, or do you think they should stay behind the scenes?
I really think it depends on what you're promoting. I think that if you're promoting, let's just say skincare, and you used to have really bad acne and then you got cleared up, it's like, well, it makes sense that you're the face because you're a success story for your brand. This is why I started it. I met a guy at Atlanta Streetwear Market. He had like a stroke or something. So one side of his face like was less mobile than the other. So he created a glasses company because he was wearing a lot of glasses so people couldn't see his eye. So he is the face because that's the reason why I wanted to support him, just because his story was great.
Right.
So that's cool. For me, there's such a big community there. I'm just a small facet of the HBCU community. Yeah. I mean, we got people like Martin Luther King and Chadwick Boseman and Felicia Rashad and Taraji. These names, like, I'm just a small piece, so I don't have to be the face because the brand is going to carry itself because of what we stand for. And our name is very simple: support Black colleges. Like, you can't really get it confused on what it means. And I think so many times people feel like they have to be the face. You can push it and start it, but that's why we have influencers. That's how we have people that we can hire. So like, let's just say I didn't go to a HBCU, but I had the brand. I would hire somebody that's the influencer that went to a HBCU and say, hey, people recognize you with this school or this group of people. I want to utilize your skill set, your followers, your abilities to be able to attract customers that I want. And
with that, so I want to touch on influencers, because that was a huge part of Support Black College's success.
100%.
Like, you had Tiana Taylor, Chris Paul and Chris
Brown.
Oh, you had CB. Okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of people.
You can run it.
Oh Lord.
No, but with that, right? You have a whole framework for how you went about. I remember the Clubhouse days. Like, you used to be on there teaching the framework of how to reach out to influencers. However, it's like everybody's up on game now, right? Things have shifted. So with that strategy, do you think it's still relevant? And if so, how should entrepreneurs, more specifically those in the product business space, like, what should they kind of change now to get influencers to support their brand?
Yeah, I think some of the stuff is relevant still, but then a lot of it is not. And so you're not just paying somebody just to post these days, like to throw it on their story or just post it like on the ground that they got it. Like, I like storytelling and I like them feeling like it wasn't an ad. So whenever I give something to an influencer, most of the time I give it with no expectation because I'm also not paying most of the time. Like, I rarely pay for influencers because I like to build a relationship first. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's use like somebody like B. Simone, for instance. Me and B. Simone have been friends for years. When she used to be with her old manager, we used to always run into each other because the shop was where I lived. And so every time I saw her, I would just provide value. I would just be like, I love what you're doing. We would talk, chat, whatever. Then one day she was like, oh, I love this hoodie. You always wear these hoodies. I'm like, oh, this is my brand. See, now that you asked about it, now we can talk about it. I didn't ever want to be like, hey, this is my brand. Guess what? This is what I'm doing. Because now it feels like a sale. It feels like I'm trying to convince you. I want to build a relationship first, and then we'll go for the ask if it ever comes. It may never come. And for me, it's one of those things where so many people lead with how can you do something for me versus how can I do something for you? And it feels transactional, and I make things relational. So I think when it comes to influencer marketing, I ran into Jackie Hill Perry at Target on Sunday.
Wow.
And I was like, I want her to have one of my hoodies. She always be dressing really well. But I'm like, I'm not going to ask for it right now. So we talked, and I was telling her how I love her content and stuff. It's kind of same like you just said. And so that was it. We walked away. Nothing happened. We didn't change no info, nothing. I DM'd her later like, oh, it's a pleasure to meet you in Target. I said something to her about, you need to start a fashion line because you're always wearing stuff. And so she was like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And then she said, oh, I see your profile. You run Support Black Colleges. I see these hoodies everywhere. Boom. So now I wasn't bigging myself up. I wasn't doing too much. She see the message. Either she want to respond.
You see the material.
Or not. Yeah. Like, and I always tell people, your social media page is your resume. So some people be posting I don't know what they be posting, but make sure if somebody comes to your page that does not know you, they can from your
tell what you do.
Your
like
bio,
the 9 box.
And then it's like 3
or 6.
Maybe 6.
Yeah.
Most time it's like 3, depending on how long your bio is. Is this a good snapshot of who I am? And my best 3 pieces of content are pinned at the top. So you see my bio, then you see my 3 posts. And so she was probably like, let me look at this. Oh, good high quality content. Oh, he's funny. Oh, faith-based. Oh, you run Support Black Colleges? So now the conversation gets easier because I don't have to explain who I am or what I do. And I'm also not like feeling like I'm forcing it upon you. We're just talking. And so, I led with the value. I led with just complimenting you do a great job. And that's it. I don't want no picture. We ain't got to do all of that. People be trying to get pictures, but don't get no kind of progression. Like, why are you worried about the pictures for? And so I think some of those things are going to work. The things that are not working as much is just like sending cold emails. Like, it works sometimes, but most people ain't looking at that. And most of the people are not formatting the emails even properly. Like, DMs work too if your page looks good. Like I never had somebody not open a DM from somewhere by colleges if they like what we have going on. So,
perfect. And I don't want you guys to miss that. So the nugget I took away, and it's something that I also use for my social media profile, is that is prime real estate. Those three boxes at the top, like mine is about me. So if somebody's coming there, it's like, well, who is this girl? This is
100%.
This is who she is. You can go here. The next is how to work with me. Like if you're 100%. Interested in services that I offer, this is how you go about doing that. The next goes into like the services that I offer. So use that as prime real estate. Even if you are an influencer, right? Like, what's some content that's going viral that people are just really resonating with? Like pin that, use that real estate on your IG page.
And I change those depending on what I'm doing too. So like if I'm about to go to an event, let's just say I'm about to go to a tech event. If I have like 3 tech companies I work with, I'll pin those at the top just for that weekend. Because when they come to my page, I'm like, oh, he really in this space. I mean, I really be in this space. When I go to NBA All-Star, my top 3 posts are like me and Chris Paul, me and this person, me and this person. Because when you come to my page, smart. I want you to see like, that. Oh, that's it.
He does stuff with the NBA.
100%.
Let's book him again.
Because who's going to scroll all the way down my page? I post every other day.
Nobody.
You ain't going to find my page. You ain't going to find it. And so it's one of those things where just be smart and be intentional. And I think that a lot of people lack intentionality and they just expect things to happen. Yep. But let's properly prepare so when the opportunity comes, you can make the most of it. You can maximize it. So
I love that. One of the things you talked about was with influencers, right? We're seeing a lot of influencers start to create product businesses.
Yes, they are.
Like we're seeing a lot of influencers. And I think myself. And I think the thought process is, well, hey, if I've made this brand all this money, then I can now start my own and do 100%. It. Do you think that's a good move for them?
I think it's good with the proper infrastructure. Because you run into the same problems. If you don't have the proper infrastructure, you'll get overwhelmed. Then they're like, oh, so-and-so's a scammer. No, they're not a scammer. They wanted to help you. They just didn't know what they were doing. And so for me, I always encourage people to get a mentor, take coaching. Like people act like people trying to scam them. No, you need to learn this. Yep. You can either learn by doing it yourself and spending a lot more money, or you can pay somebody who you've seen do it. So if I want styling tips and help, I'm going to come to you. I'm not about to go to somebody. I'm not about to just try to do it on my own, because once you start messing up relationships, it gets hard to like fix it. So I'd rather be proactive than reactive. Let me proactively find somebody that I trust and that makes content that's in the space versus reactively saying, let me fix this because, was I supposed to send this? I didn't get their measurements. Like, bro, you could have had a template for this already.
Yep. And I think one of the things that's so good is because we, especially in our community, we like to throw that scamming word around like, it's a scammer because
I love saying that.
Oh, you a scammer, they a scammer. But I think that people aren't doing their due diligence
100%.
To research.
100%.
That's the first thing. It's like, did you actually research this person? Did you actually look at their receipts? Or did you just look at the lifestyle that they post and you saw the cars, the jewelry, the brand names, and you're like, oh, okay, this is the person that can help me because now I just want this lifestyle that they have versus are they actually an expert in what they're talking about, right? 100%. Have they been doing this? Do they have longevity
100%.
In doing this? And the other thing with like, when it comes to this word scamming, I think that people don't take accountability for their own actions and them putting in the work. Like, I ran a coaching program for product-based businesses for 4 years, right? If someone didn't get the results from that program, is that on me as the coach? If I actually deliver on what I'm saying,
what your promise
right?
was,
what my promise was. But you have to actually do the work. I think so many people these days, it's like they're so entitled, like, entitled, like, just because I purchased this from you, you should now guarantee that I'm going to make 7 figures next year. No, I can't guarantee you anything. I don't know your work ethic. I don't know how you hold yourself accountable. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many other factors, and we don't like to look at ourselves like, I've spent so much money on programs, courses. I have stuff in my Google Drive right now. I ain't never opened that course. I ain't opened that thing not once, right?
Me too.
But am I now calling that person a scammer because I didn't do the work? I haven't opened it. I haven't clicked the link. Like, no, I can't call them a scammer because I didn't do what I lied to myself.
Right.
And that's the thing, is like so many people are lying to themselves. Be honest with yourself.
And that's the thing. See, a lot of people lack self-awareness. And so when I was taking coaching clients for e-commerce brands, I wouldn't take any brand that I didn't believe in. And the reason why is it's not just about the designs being good, but like when we had our first Zoom call, when I was like talking to you, your camera was off. Like you didn't even want to turn your camera on. Like, you're not serious. How do you say I want to pay money to you and I want you to coach me, but you can't even turn your camera on? So now I'm talking to a avatar. Like that shows me what I need to know. And then you said something about entitlement, which I think is like, I had something on my social media page that like, it was a big discussion because when I told people I was starting a new brand, a Christian brand, so many people hit me and was like, oh bro, like let's team up. I've been waiting for this, da-da-da. I go to their page. They've never had a brand. They're not promoting anything. Their content's not good. You're not an investor. Like I see no benefit of working with you. I've already proven that I can start a brand and create one and grow it to millions. That I don't need help with that. So what are you bringing me differently that I don't have already? And so when I would say no, thank you, or I'm good, people are like, oh, don't forget where you came from. Too little. I'm like, I didn't forget, but because where I came from, I know I don't need no partner. I did that already. I did, and I understand that one mistake I made was instead of hiring, I said be my 50-50 partner. I learned that lesson. So I can now, moving forward in my next business, I can say, I can just hire. If I'm not good at ads, let me just hire somebody to do ads. You don't have to own my business. Oh, I'm not good at this. I can have some manufacturing. Let me just hire a company that does manufacturing. And I think so many times we have this entitlement based off of our perception of things. It's not that I don't want to help. If you want help, I have programs, I have courses, you can book a call. You don't want to do those things. Nope. You want to go half with me on something that I don't need help with because you're not going to do half the work. I'm going to carry the load. And so I think it's really important. And it's in our community too. Like we be the worst ones. And it's like sad because you can go to like any city or any state and there's like a Chinatown and there's like where all the Jewish people are. And there's this, the black community, we call them hoods and we don't own none of that property. But you go to Chinatown in DC, you can go to Chinatown in New York, you can go to Chinatown in LA and they like all working together as a unit. But for us, it's like we fighting each other within our own communities that we don't even own. And our businesses are getting shut down because you have one bad experience. And now you're all over Yelp and TikTok saying how bad it was. When you
That's
didn't know
why
that,
I don't support black-owned brands.
That's why I don't support them. And you didn't know that the person's family member died yesterday and they still show up to work because they didn't have no choice because nobody else will work. And we have to extend grace to each other. Like, please, like, now that's one thing if you're doing over and over, but just extend a little bit of grace because at the end of the day, we're all doing this for the first time. Most of us, like, I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Like, I have never had high level examples of people doing what I'm doing. And I'm creating this pathway that I didn't even know it really existed until I started doing it. And so I'm learning every day. Every day is something new for me. So I think just grace is really important in this process.
Are you a product-based business owner that's ready to scale? I've compiled my industry experience and knowledge into bite-sized resources that you can access anytime, anywhere at jasmineboundary.shop. You'll get actionable insight, advanced strategies, and in-depth knowledge on how to grow your product-based business. Visit jasmineboundary.shop today and let's take your brand to the next level. Now, back to the episode.
So I want to pivot a little bit. Something you mentioned that you are starting a Christian clothing brand.
I am.
But we've also noticed that like your content has shifted into more faith-based content, some dating content in there too, some humor. You still gonna be Corey, right, with the funny. But what really kind of caused that shift into you moving more into faith-based content? But then also, you know, potentially launching this new Christian clothing brand.
You know, so pre-pandemic, I was going to a church out here called Impact. And I love the church. But once, you know, COVID happened, everybody went home. And
everybody was impacted.
We were all impacted. And so through that process, they actually changed pastors and stuff. And so when I went back, it just wasn't the same feel for me. Still a great church. But I was churchless for a while. I was online and just, I don't know. I was kind of just doing my own thing. And I realized that the further I got from God, the further I got from like being centered and grounded and the things that I needed. And so Marcus Rozier invited me to change one Sunday. Is like, you know, you should check out our pastor. And I had actually met PD, Pastor Darius, at Revolt Summit. He spoke and I spoke. And I had heard him speak briefly. I was like, oh, he going crazy. Good. But I didn't know that he was a pastor. He's a great businessman as well.
I heard him first speak. He did, what's the conference Shands does?
Podcast.
Was it the social? It was when they had the social proof conference, and I think PD was the keynote. I was like, that.
Yeah. And so like he spoke so well, he's like, okay, let me see. So I went to church one Sunday, and that was in August, and I was like, he was killing it. It was he was on the series Exit Strategies, and I think it was the first message, and I was like, I was instantly about to cut off people. Like right after that service, I was like, oh yeah, he's going crazy. So then I went back, and I almost like, I tried to make excuses to not go. It's far. We all listen, it's a 40-minute drive without traffic. So we go to the same church, y'all. So I tried, but something just like kept me going. Yeah. It kept me going. And as I got closer to God, it's actually pretty interesting, because a lot of stuff started happening to me negatively. Like I was like instantly being tested. I'm talking about instantly. Stuff started happening. And so I just was like, what is this? Like, it's like, is the devil trying to keep me away? Like, what's going on? And, as I continued to go on, I started serving, and I started getting more involved. And I realized that this is who I've been all my life, and I got away from that. And I just need to get regrounded and recentered. So naturally, because I'm focused more on God and my lifestyle with God, my content changes, because the things I'm consuming is different. They say, what you tune into, you turn into. So like I was consuming different things. I was around different people. So just naturally my content just started changing. And then the year before I had got out of a relationship. And so I wasn't talking about relationship content for a while. Yeah. I was still in a place where I was healing and just figuring things out. And now I was at a point where I'm like, I can talk about it, I can laugh about it, I can joke about it, I can do those things.
You had to let it burn.
And so now I'm like back in there where I'm like, all right, cool, I can talk about it. So I think that's where the content shift happened. The things I was doing in life changed, so did my content.
So now with what you tune into is what you turn into. I love that line. That's the bar. This Christian clothing line, like, what is that? What is that going to encompass? And how do you see that being different from support black colleges?
Yeah. So it's crazy because, God gives you these gifts and you have to choose whether you want to use it or not. And I know that I have a gift because I was able to do it before. I was able to have the infrastructure to build a brand large. So if I say that I'm trying to go on this walk with God and I love God and I want to promote his word, well, what better way to do it than something I've already proven I'm good at, which is clothing. And so when I go shopping for Christian brands, there's some dope ones out there, but there's like something missing. And it's the same way HBCU clothing. There was dope ones out there before, just something missing. I feel like I can give it what is missing. So it allows me to talk about God in my own way. Because everybody's not like hey, can I pray for you? That's not everybody's way they deal with God. For me, that's not how I do. But I think for me with clothing and through the words and messaging and certain things I'm designing now, I designed this one shirt that's really cool, and it's a scripture on the front, but if you search the scripture on the back, it makes so much sense. It's like a lot of like, ooh, that's good. I'll show it to you off camera. But I think through this, it allows me to express creativity, it allows me to market, it allows me to reach out to influencers who are in that space, and it allows us to have an impact through unity with clothing. And so it's different from support black colleges because the messaging is different, but the communities are the same. The way you build community, the way you come together with people. And I started a channel on Instagram where I'm just like pouring in and just saying random things a week, encouraging and just trying to get people together and making it seem cool to be a Christian. Like growing up, there was no like young black cool people. Like it was like your grandma, your mom. Right. And it's like now it's so many cool people. Like and it feels like a thing.
The music,
bruh.
I'm like,
the Christian rap is not like the old Christian rap. And so I love it. Like I listen to this one guy named Alex Gordon, and he sound like Migos. He really sound like Migos. And he's talking about gospel. And we're fortunate enough to go to a church where we got a lot of good worship leaders like right in our church. And so I just think it's my way to express. Everybody has their own way. You can do it through styling, you can do it through podcasts, you can do it through whatever, but that's just the way that fits for me.
So I'd say that you agree that being multifaceted, multidimensional, all of the things, because you can do this and this and this and this.
100%.
For yourself, you're also a marketing consultant, right? You consult small, medium, large businesses on their marketing strategies, what they need to do, how they can market better.
Right.
But we see that marketing has shifted, right? Like what was working last year is not the same that's working this year. You know, when I first got on TikTok during COVID, I was like, dang, I got to learn this dance routine. Like,
doing the renegade.
You know, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But it shifted. It's not that anymore. So what advice and what strategies would you say are working for marketing? And in addition to that, what's like the future of marketing?
Yeah. I think storytelling is number one for me. And there's a difference with telling you about my product versus telling you about the people who buy my product, right? So like, I look at example like, let me see, one person that's killing, or like brands that are killing it on social that I really love. So like, for instance, I just started following the Boston Celtics on Instagram. Okay. I do not like the Celtics, like nothing about them. Like, I don't hate them, but I just like don't like them. Yeah. And so I follow good content. I don't even care I don't care who the team was. I follow this minor league baseball team called the Bananas. They make good content. But for me, what the Celtics do is, so one post they did the other day was they kind of played it like a video game, and they were like using the players that were actual footage of the players, but they made the video game match what the players were doing. That's different. And me seeing the video games being played took me to like an old memory when I used to play video games when I was younger. And so like they made that connect with me, and I'm not even a fan of theirs, but I just wanted to see more of that content. I think the people who are storytelling the best are doing the best job at doing the marketing, right? And so you see like on TikTok Shop, all these people are like saying, man, my skin was this or this. They're telling their own story, and then they're able to sell product based off of people seeing the results from their story. The people who are just like, it's no more like put a shirt down, take a picture of it on a white background. There was a time for that. Yep. No one's buying from that no more. Yep. But there's a company that I always see as a hoodie says, basically something along the lines of, we care about you, we need you here. Like it's like a suicide prevention hoodie. Okay. And so their ads are always people seeing somebody in the grocery store, like fake seeing them, like, oh my God, this hoodie is so dope, it just saved me. But that it's just like storytelling. So everybody has had that opportunity to be like, oh man, this is a good message. And so I think people who are storytelling are going to win. I think people who are building community and like cult like following, those people are going to win. And using the right influencers to work with your brand in a way that seems organic versus salesy. Like when I'm doing influencer marketing campaigns, I'm like, oh, that sounds too salesy. They'll see me a script, I'm like, Because if you want me to have the maximum impact for you, it has to feel like me. So people who are trying to get influencers, to go kind of to that, look at the content they already have and then give them a script or what you want them to do based off of what they already make. Yep. Like if you saw me saying, hey, my name's Corey and I use
like,
this gum, you're like, Corey, that ain't him. But if I be like, bro, this like if I make it mine, or if I talk about how like I tried to talk to a girl and I failed because the gum was hard and it made my breath like, so I use this, it makes more sense. It's more on brand for me. And so I think that's how you win in the marketplace now. And then just staying up to date with trends. Like you do trends, but then you add your 3% to it. We talk about the 3% rule in clothing all the time, where you see a trend or a design, but you add your 3% to it and make it different. Same thing with content. So if I see people doing a challenge, I'm an entrepreneur. Of course I do this. I'm a this. Of course I do this. Add your own spin to it. You know, and I think that there's a trend right now where like somebody's cutting open like a melon or something and the water splash out everywhere. And so for change, we're about to do baptisms this weekend. So I'm like, we should do that trend. Like you do that, and then when you splash it, you getting dunked into the baptism pool, and it makes it seem more relevant. I'm taking something that has nothing to do with each other, but making it make sense because it's trending.
I love that. Again, so we focused a lot about being multi-passionate, making pivots, making the right pivots and shifts. How do you know when it's time to shift from one thing to the other? So with you and now starting a new clothing brand, yet you still have your foot in the door in this other clothing brand, right?
Definitely.
Do you feel that, now Support Black Colleges is going to be neglected because you now need to focus and put energy into building up this new brand?
Yeah. I feel like it won't be neglected, but that's the positive of like being an entrepreneur and learning. You put systems in place and systems and processes. And so I meet with my warehouse manager every Tuesday. And the way we have it set up is I can be less hands-on when it comes to the day-to-day. But obviously like the designing and the marketing and stuff, I'm still very hands-on. And I still do that to this day. Like we're still posting 3 times a day. We're still keeping the website how it has to be. So I don't think it takes away. I just think that I've learned to delegate and I've learned to hire and I've learned to do things properly so that I'm not worn out. Because I don't know why we feel like entrepreneurs, we should always be tired and overworked and burned. Like That's not what God designed us to be. Like, we ain't supposed to be always tired, because what's the purpose of working for yourself and then being a slave to yourself as well? Like, I could work a job and get off at 5 o'clock and not have to worry about it no more. That sounds much easier to me, honestly. And so for me, I've learned systems, I've learned operations, and I'm learning how to delegate and let it do its thing. I built the community. I've proven that we can make good product. So now the hard part is done. Now all I have to do is just keep it going, right? And so with this new brand, it's more like a passion project that if it blows up, it's cool. If not, I don't mind keeping it small. Like, it doesn't have to be the biggest Christian brand in the world. Like, I want to make a few shirts. I want to see how it does. I'm going to put the systems and processes in place that I have, because I know it's going to help elevate it, run some ads, do those things. But ultimately, I have the same systems in place. Like, the same warehouse will ship both of them, right? Like, and so it's just more about me being intentional about the messaging and how I promote it, just like I did with Support by Colleges, getting on the ground, going to these events, there's every Christian artist is touring right now. Like, everybody's touring. So will I be at these tours with booths? That's what I did with Support by Colleges. I was at every homecoming. And so I got back into grassroots marketing and those kind of things. And so I don't think it will neglect it. I think that time will be dedicated to both, but just having proper amount of time dedicated to each one so that they can both get the love that they deserve and serve the communities that they are serving.
So with that being said, do you feel that, because I feel like, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can go, our brains are always going, right? Especially those that tend to focus more on, like, in the creative spaces. It's like, okay, well, let me go do this thing. Let me go do this thing. And while you can be multi-passionate and love doing multiple things, it doesn't always mean that you need to be doing them simultaneously, right? It doesn't mean that. And in some instances you can. So for instance, I am a stylist, but I am also a retail consultant. I do both very well, excellent, in excellence, right? But I feel like sometimes, we're over here and we like, okay, let me let me DJ this one over here, but then also let me go start this over here. But now this one is failing. So how do you, I guess, kind of find like balance when you're managing these multiple things, and how you can still be intentional with what needs the focus and energy at that time? That's really good. And with that, self-awareness is so important. Being self-aware, people trick themselves into thinking they can do everything. And deep down you can't. You can't properly serve both communities or both businesses or whatever at one time. So the way I like to do it is, first, what's making me money? What is going to make me the most money? Because at the end of the day, we need money to run. And then what's easiest to do? So the one that makes me the most money and or is easiest to do, that's kind of where I focus first. So Support by Colleges is going to make me the most money. And that's the easiest to do right now based off of my past. Now that I have that where it is, I can focus on this. That's not hard to do, but it just takes a little more of my time and effort. And so what makes money, what's easy to do, and third for me comes like, what do I enjoy doing the most, right? So right now I'm enjoying the Christian brand more because that's where I am in my life. And so I think just managing those, but having realistic expectations for yourself. You're not going to start the business and it's going to go to $1 million tomorrow unless Beyonce magically wears your stuff randomly. I love that. Other than that, it's a slow grind for me. I'm not trying to rush and blow something up. I'm trying to do it the right way because I've already known what it's like to do it the wrong way. And like you said, you have the systems in place. Like, I can accept new retail clients and do a VIP day or do some consulting because I have the framework of what 100%. I need to, like, what am I looking for? What are the gaps? Let me identify them. I already have everything I need. So it's not taking as much time. 100%. And then I can go enjoy a new styling client because that's where I may be more passionate about at the time. Like, hey, this is kind of fun. Like, it's more of the creative side. Retail, I got to think a little bit more. But because things are actually in place, you're able to take on 100%. Things. And two, like, it's going to show too in your work and like what you put out. Like, if it feels stressful, if it feels daunting, people will see it. You might not know they see it, but they see it. And so I don't want one thing to fall off because I'm doing something else. So that's why, like, having the proper stuff in place is going to allow you to be able to properly give the right energy, attention. You want it to be fun. Like, this is your baby, your business, what you're passionate about. Right? It's your life. And so, like, I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to feel like I'm a slave to my own thing that I created. Like, that is the worst feeling. And I think, like, because you end up hating what you created. You end up hating. And it's something that you started liking. See, what Support by Colleges was different because I'd never wanted a clothing brand. That's not what I didn't go to school to have a clothing brand. It's just something that I saw an opportunity to do and I ran with the opportunity. And so
Now I found something that I like, but it's always been marketing. It's always marketing. Even what I'm doing with the Christian brand, I'm asking people, should I start it? I'm starting a brand regardless. I'm asking you so you feel like you're a part of it.
Yep.
I know the name. I'm going to ask people, what out of these 4 names, what should I choose? I know what name I'm choosing, but they don't know that. They don't know that, right? Yep. And I'm going to document it one by one. I'm going to YouTube everything and vlog everything. So it's going to be like, all right, guys, I'm thinking of a name. What name should I? But it's going to already be done.
Taking people on a journey.
And so as I release product, I'm also going to release YouTube videos, and it's going to like come hand in hand to where people can literally see how I built a brand from 0. And then when I hit 6 figures, it's going to be like, yo, I literally watched him 0 to 6 figures. And then that community is there. So now I have e-commerce people, then I'm gonna have the Christian people, and people who still love support by colleges. And so it's a bigger plan with this. I'm being intentional and taking my time so that I can properly execute and show the people what they want to see.
Something that I don't want to skip over is the grassroots marketing. Like you just mentioned how there are about to be so many Christian artists going on tour, and you are starting a new brand. So you like, hey, I need to be there. I think new entrepreneurs and actually I would say probably more seasoned entrepreneurs than newer ones. It's like, stop thinking you're too good to go back to the basics. Like stop thinking you're too good to go back to those old school ways of marketing. Like back in the day, we used to call it pumping the pavement. Like I'm going to pass out these flyers.
I'm telling you.
It's in the trunk. Like stop thinking that you're too good to get out in front of your people.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I think we've gotten so accustomed to everything being so digitized and us being behind phones and computers, and we've made it so easy that we forget, like, there are methods that still work. You know, you vended at Essence Fest, I vended at Essence Fest, and we've had amazing success because we are in front
100%
of our customers. We are there. We are in the weeds, 100%. Right? So I didn't want to skip over that because I feel like that's super important for people to understand. Like sometimes you got to get out.
Got to get from behind that phone. Get from like the greatest review you can get is right in person with your customer. Oh, I love this. Oh, I hate that. Oh, this color is kind of, you hear everything. It's literally right in front of you. When I pull up a hoodie, oh, the color is like cool, or like they'll give you immediate response whether they're buying or not. And that's the best data you can have, because on social, everybody's like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is cool. But no one's buying.
Nobody bought it.
They don't really love that. But you didn't get in front of them and they've never seen. My favorite customers want to be like, oh, I saw you at Essence Fest last year and I came back this year to see if you were there. My favorite customer, because and you're the owner, you still work your booths? Yeah. Because I need to see what my community is saying. Somebody that I hire to bring on won't give the same reaction as they're going to give me. And I know that. And so I don't mind going out there and working for a few. I might not work the whole day, but I'll work a few hours and I'll move some bins and boxes, because at the end of the day, I'm going to make more money doing that than the person who's just like trying to tweet or Instagram post. Like, I'm going to actually go get the money. And I'm the best salesman for my brand because it's mine. So I'm a champion. I'm going to make you buy more than one shirt. Oh man, you only get one? So you said you like this one. All right, you know what? I can work out a deal for you. Let me do 2 for, I can make those decisions. And it builds a long lasting relationship with a customer who didn't know me before they walked up to the booth.
Guys, this has been such an amazing episode of And This. Like, we have talked about so much, from influencers to grassroots marketing to making pivots in your business. Corey has just really blessed us with so much. I'm so grateful that you spent, some time to just share this, because I think it's just really valuable. Like, things are shifting just in the entrepreneur space, especially 100%. Those that are running product-based businesses. So to have you, a 7-figure e-commerce owner that is also making pivots in his own life and business, I just truly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is dope. Got a new podcast going on. So I'm glad to be a part of the first installments of what's happening here, and I can't wait to see it grow.
Thank you.